The sky over Lurea was soft blue, brighter than any sky the humans had seen before. The colony ship descended slowly, its silver body shining in the sunlight. People pressed against the windows, looking at the wide plains and strange glowing plants that covered the ground. After so many years of travel through empty space, the crew felt hope again. This was to be their new home, far from the old Earth they had left behind. Mark stood near the front window, his hands clasped behind his back. He was the leader of the group, chosen not because he was the strongest, but because he was calm and steady. He did not speak much, but people trusted his voice when he gave orders. Inside his mind, he repeated the words of the mission: land safely, meet the rulers of this world, form an alliance, build a new future. He wondered if it would be that simple. The ship landed with a soft tremor on a flat field of golden grass. Outside, a group of tall figures waited. They were the Lurians, the people of this world. They stood in two neat rows, their silver robes moving like water in the wind. At their center stood the Queen of Lurea, her crown shaped like wings. Her face was calm, but her eyes were bright and sharp. Around her stood 6 companions, each one different in height and style, but all with an otherworldly grace. The airlock hissed open and a bridge extended to the ground. Mark led the first group outside. The air smelled of sweet flowers and cool stone. A soft hum came from the ground itself, as if the planet was alive and singing under their feet. The humans walked slowly, aware that every move would be remembered by their hosts. The Queen stepped forward and raised her hand. Her voice was soft yet strong. She spoke in their language, which surprised Mark. She said they had been watching the ship's travel for years and had prepared for this meeting. She said one of her people would join the humans to guide them on Lurea, to help them live safely and to share knowledge. Her words carried weight, like a promise older than both their peoples. Mark bowed his head slightly. "We are honored," he said. "We come in peace and wish to live side by side with you." The Queen nodded once. She then gestured toward the 6 companions. "One of us will be yours," she said. "You may choose." The 6 Lurians stepped forward. One was tall and strong, his arms lined with faint glowing marks. Another carried a staff filled with crystals, symbols of knowledge and learning. A third had healing hands glowing with soft blue light. A fourth had eyes that seemed to see far beyond the present moment. A fifth moved with silent precision like a shadow. The last one at the far edge stood with head lowered. Her name was Mira. She kept her eyes hidden behind a curtain of dark hair. While the others showed their powers with small displays, she stayed still and quiet. Mark noticed her immediately. The other humans were whispering about the powers of the first 5 companions. He heard words like strength, wisdom, healing, strategy. But his eyes kept going back to Mira. Something about her stillness pulled at him. She seemed almost afraid of being seen, or perhaps she was hiding something greater. The Queen's eyes followed his gaze. "All have been trained to guide," she said. "Each has a gift. Choose well. The one you choose will live with you and travel with you. They will become part of your people. They cannot be changed once chosen." Mark nodded but did not answer right away. He wanted to know more. He wanted to see how these companions acted when not under the Queen's eyes. The humans were invited to stay for a few days in a small settlement near the field. They would observe and speak with the companions before making their choice. The Queen's attendants led them to the camp where tall white tents waited. As they walked, Mark spoke quietly to his second-in-command, a woman named Hannah. She was young, but very sharp. "They want us to choose," he said. "But they show us only what they want us to see." Hannah nodded. "Maybe the quiet one is the most dangerous," she said. "Or maybe she is the one who truly wants peace." Mark glanced back at Mira, who walked at the end of the line, her eyes still hidden. He thought of the long years ahead on this world, the new risks, the unknown dangers. Something inside him whispered that the obvious choice might not be the best choice. He decided to watch and wait. That night, as the humans settled into their tents, Mark stood outside under the alien stars. The sky was full of 2 moons and a faint green band of light that curved across the horizon. He saw the 6 companions gathered at the edge of the field. The strong one practiced lifting heavy stones with his bare hands. The healer glowed softly as she touched the plants. The one with the staff traced patterns in the dirt, perhaps symbols of power. Mira sat apart, hands on her knees, head still low. She did not move, even when the wind picked up. Mark felt the weight of the Queen's promise. One of them would belong to his people. One of them would change everything. He did not know yet which one he would choose. But already, his heart was drawn to the one who hid her eyes. Morning light spread across the golden grass of Lurea. A soft mist drifted above the ground as the humans woke inside their white tents. Birds with crystal wings glided over the field, their calls echoing like music. The colony had never seen such a peaceful world. Yet under the quiet beauty, Mark felt the weight of a decision that could shape the future of both peoples. The Queen had ordered that the 6 companions spend 3 days with the humans. Each day they would show their skills and speak about their gifts. After the 3rd day, the humans would choose. Mark sat outside his tent watching the 6 figures approach. The strong one carried heavy stones on his shoulders as if they were light. The healer walked with a basket of glowing roots. The one with the staff moved slowly but with deep focus. The vision seer looked ahead, eyes fixed on something only she could see. The silent fighter stepped without sound like a drifting cloud. At the back came Mira, head lowered as always, her hands folded in front of her. The Queen arrived later with her guards. Her silver robe caught the morning light. She raised her hand and spoke. Her words were slow and calm. She repeated the promise she had given the day before. One of her people would join the humans. The chosen one would not only guide them but also bind their 2 peoples together. She warned that the choice would last for many years. There would be no change once the bond began. Mark nodded. "We will choose with care," he said. "We honor your trust." The Queen looked at him with steady eyes, then turned to her companions. "Show them who you are," she said. "Let them see your hearts as well as your gifts." The first companion stepped forward. He lifted a great beam of metal from the ground with a single arm. The humans gasped at his strength. "I can build your homes and defend your walls," he said. "My body is made to work and to fight if danger comes." He smiled, showing bright teeth. Several humans murmured in approval. The second companion, the healer, placed her glowing hands on a plant that had wilted overnight. The plant straightened, its leaves turning green again. "I can heal wounds and sickness," she said. "I can care for your children and your elders." Her voice was warm and kind. Even Hana smiled at her. The third companion raised his staff and drew shapes in the air. Sparks of light formed patterns like maps of the stars. "I carry the knowledge of our worlds," he said. "I can teach you how to read the signs of the sky and the soil. With me you will not be blind." The fourth companion, the vision seer, spoke in a low voice. "I see the paths that stretch ahead," she said. "I can warn you before storms or battles. I can guide you through darkness." Her eyes glimmered, but her face was calm. The fifth companion, the silent fighter, showed how he could move between shadows without a sound. He could leap, climb, and vanish from sight. "I can protect you when danger hides," he said. "I can walk where others cannot." His movements were smooth like flowing water. When it was Mira's turn, she only bowed her head. She did not lift her hands or speak of any power. She stood in silence as the humans waited. After a long pause, she whispered, "I am here to learn." Her voice was soft but clear. "I wish to help you live safely. That is all." She lowered her head again. Some humans exchanged puzzled looks. Hana raised an eyebrow at Mark but said nothing. After the demonstrations, the humans gathered to discuss. Many spoke for the strong one or the healer. Others liked the knowledge of the staff holder. A few were curious about the silent fighter. Almost no one spoke of Mira. She had shown nothing and offered only simple words. Yet Mark could not stop thinking about her. He felt as if she had spoken to him without words, a quiet pulse of meaning beneath her soft voice. That evening, the Queen invited Mark to a small hall built of white stone near the camp. Inside, glowing orbs lit the walls. She poured a drink from a crystal jug and handed it to him. "Your people are wise to take time," she said. "But time is short. My companions will not wait forever." Mark looked at her calmly. "Why does she hide her eyes?" he asked. "Mira, she is different from the others." The Queen tilted her head. "Some gifts are not for display," she said. "Some are heavier than they seem. If you choose her, you will take all that she carries, not just the parts you see." She placed the jug back on the table. "Remember, one of us will be yours. Choose with open eyes." Mark left the hall feeling the night air cool on his skin. He walked back to the tents where his people gathered around a small fire. Hana met him halfway. "You're thinking about the quiet one," she said. "Yes," Mark replied. "Most people think she has nothing to offer," Hana said. "Maybe that's what she wants them to think." Mark looked up at the sky where the two moons hung like silver coins. He felt the weight of the decision pressing harder now. He thought of the Queen's words and of Mira's hidden eyes. He knew the next days would show him more, but already a part of him had decided to step into the unknown rather than the safe choice. At the edge of the camp, Mira sat alone. Her head still low, but her hands moved slightly as if tracing unseen lines in the air. The faint green glow of the horizon lit her face. Mark watched her for a long time before turning away. The Queen had made a promise, and soon he would have to make his own. The third day on Larea began with a pale orange sunrise. The humans gathered in the open field where the 6 companions stood in a quiet line. The Queen and her guards waited at the back, their silver robes bright against the golden grass. Today was the day of the choice. Everyone felt the weight of it. It was not only about survival, it was about trust. Mark stood at the front of the human group. He looked at each companion one by one. The strong one stood proud with arms crossed, glowing marks bright on his skin. The healer gave a soft smile, her hands folded at her waist. The staff holder tapped his staff gently against the earth as if marking time. The vision seer's eyes drifted to the horizon as if watching distant storms. The silent fighter shifted from foot to foot, his body ready to move at any second. And then there was Mira, still at the edge, her head bowed, hair hiding her eyes. Mark remembered the last 2 days. He had seen all the companions show their gifts again and again. He had heard their promises, but Mira had stayed quiet. She helped carry supplies for the humans, cleaned tools, and spoke gently to a few children. She avoided any display of power. Yet Mark had noticed small details. She always knew when the weather would change. She always stood where danger was least. She moved with a sense of quiet purpose. The Queen stepped forward and raised her hand. "Today you choose," she said. "This is not only an exchange of people but of futures. Choose with your heart and your mind together." Her eyes moved over the humans, then returned to Mark. "Who will it be?" The humans began to murmur. Hannah stepped beside Mark. "Everyone expects you to choose the strong one," she whispered. "Or the healer. They will think you are reckless if you choose the quiet one." Mark did not answer. He kept looking at Mira. Her hands were clasped tightly together. He thought about the Queen's words from the night before. Some gifts are not for display. Some are heavier than they seem. He felt a strange calm inside him, as if his decision had already been made. He stepped forward. The murmurs stopped. All eyes were on him. The Queen tilted her head slightly, waiting. Mark lifted his hand and pointed at Mira. "We choose her," he said. The field went silent. Even the birds overhead paused their song. The strong one's expression flickered with surprise. The healer's smile faded a little. The staff holder lowered his head. The vision seer's eyes shifted sharply. The silent fighter's jaw tightened. Mira did not move. The Queen's eyes narrowed, but her face stayed calm. "Are you certain?" she asked. Her voice carried across the field. "Yes," Mark said. "She is the one." The Queen looked at Mira. "Step forward." Mira hesitated, then lifted her head. For the first time she met Mark's eyes. In that moment he saw something bright and deep behind her dark hair. Her eyes held not only fear but also strength. She stepped forward slowly until she stood in front of the humans. The Queen placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then it is done," she said. "She is yours now. Care for her as you would your own." Mira bowed her head to the Queen. "I will serve," she said softly. Her voice was low but steady. She turned toward Mark and Hannah. "Thank you," she whispered. The Queen raised her hand once more. "Let all witness," she said. "This bond is sealed. Mira of Larea will walk with the humans." Her guards struck the ground with their staffs in a rhythm like a heartbeat. Then the Queen turned and walked away with the other companions, leaving Mira standing alone with the human group. For a moment, no one spoke. The humans were still processing what had happened. Some looked pleased, others confused. Hannah stepped closer to Mark. "You have changed the path," she said quietly. "I hope you are ready for what follows." Mark nodded. "I am," he said. "I think she is stronger than she appears." Mira stood very still, hands at her sides. The wind lifted her hair away from her face. Mark saw the faint glow of her eyes again. It was not like the glow of the healer's hands or the strong one's marks. It was more like the light of distant stars. He felt a small shiver run through him, but also a sense of rightness. The humans led Mira back to the camp. Children watched her with wide eyes. Some reached out to touch her robes, but then pulled their hands back. Mira spoke softly to them, her words gentle. She asked questions about their journey, their homes, their dreams for this new world. She seemed truly curious. That night, Mark sat outside the tent again, looking at the alien sky. The two moons were higher now, and the green band of light was stronger. Hannah joined him. "Why her?" she asked at last. Mark thought for a long time. "Because she does not try to impress us," he said. "Because she is not hiding weakness, but hiding strength. I can feel it. She will guide us in ways we do not yet understand." Hannah nodded slowly. "Then we will follow you," she said. "But keep watch. The Queen's eyes were sharp today. I think she knows more than she tells." Mark looked at Mira sitting at the edge of the camp, her face turned to the stars. For the first time since landing on Lurea, he felt not just hope but a sense of destiny. He had made his choice. Now the real journey would begin. The next morning, the human camp was full of quiet excitement. Mira stood near the transport ship with a small bundle in her hands. She had no luggage, no weapons, only a few folded cloths and a smooth stone that glowed faintly. The humans were loading supplies for their first move deeper into Lurea. They would build a new base near a river and rich soil. Mira would go with them, living among them as the Queen had promised. Mark walked around the loading area, checking every crate. He was calm but alert. Hannah moved between the workers, giving clear instructions. Children ran near the tents, pointing at Mira and whispering to each other. Mira stood still, eyes low, waiting. When the last crate was in place, Mark came over to her. "Are you ready?" he asked. "Yes," she said softly. The humans climbed aboard the transport ship. Mira followed and sat near a window. She looked out at the field, the tents, and the distant palace of the Queen. Her hands stayed folded in her lap. The ship lifted smoothly and moved across the plains. Below them stretched golden grass, silver lakes, and clusters of tall crystal trees. The sky was wide and clear. Inside the ship, people watched Mira with curiosity. Some wanted to ask questions but stayed silent. After a time, Hannah broke the quiet. "Tell us about the river," she said to Mira. "Is it safe?" Mira nodded. "It is deep and clean," she said. "But the ground near it moves sometimes. You must build on higher stone." Hannah raised her eyebrows. "You have been there?" "No," Mira said. "But I feel its path." Mark glanced at her. "Feel its path?" he asked. She did not explain. She only looked down at her hands. Her answer stayed in the air like a soft echo. The humans exchanged looks, but no one pressed further. When they landed near the river, the air smelled of sweet water and moss. The ground was rich, dark soil with bright stones scattered through it. The river itself shone green under the sun. Birds with long tails rose from the trees and flew in slow circles. The humans began to unload supplies, marking the area where they would build. Mira walked slowly around the site, her fingers brushing the stones. She stopped in certain places, then moved on. Mark noticed she avoided a patch of ground near the river. "Not here," she said quietly. "It will sink." He came closer. "How do you know?" "The water moves under it," she said. "It is weak." Mark called Hannah and they marked the area as unsafe. A few workers muttered but followed the order. By the end of the day, Mira had quietly guided them to a safer place where the ground was firm and dry. She gave small advice about wind and shade, about where to store food and where to dig a well. Each time she spoke softly but with certainty. Each time her advice proved right. At night the humans lit a fire and shared a simple meal. Mira sat a little apart but not as far as before. Children came to her with stones and plants they had found. She told them which were safe to touch and which were not. Her voice was gentle but clear. She seemed to like the children, and they soon stopped being shy around her. Mark sat across the fire watching her. He saw how she moved, how she listened more than she spoke. She did not act like a guest or a guide. She acted like someone who belonged. Later, after most people had gone to sleep, Mark walked to the edge of the camp. The two moons shone bright over the river. Mira stood near the water, her hands raised slightly. She was not moving much, but the air around her seemed to ripple faintly. Mark stayed back, unsure if he should interrupt. After a time, she lowered her hands and looked up at the moons. "You do this often?" Mark said gently as he came closer. "At night?" She turned her head slightly but did not seem surprised. "It helps me listen," she said. "Listen to what?" "To the world," she said. "Your people do not hear it yet, but everything here speaks." Mark tried to follow her gaze but saw only the river and the sky. You know things before they happen, he said. She gave a small nod. Sometimes, not always. It is not like seeing a picture. It is like feeling a path under your feet even in the dark. He thought of the Queen's warning. Some gifts are not for display. Some are heavier than they seem. Does it hurt you? He asked. She looked at him then, her eyes faintly shining. Sometimes, she said. But I came here to help you. I will do what I can. Mark felt a mix of curiosity and respect. You do not have to hide from us, he said softly. I am not hiding, she said. I am waiting. They stood in silence for a while, the river moving quietly beside them. In the distance, an animal called out, a long rising sound. The night air was cool and full of strange scents. Mark felt the future pressing toward him like the current of the river. He knew this was only the beginning. Back at the fire, Hannah watched them from the shadows. She had seen how Mira guided the camp during the day. She had seen how Mark watched Mira at night. She wondered what kind of path they were stepping onto. The Queen had sent them a guide, but Hannah was not sure who was guiding whom. As the camp settled into sleep, Mira finally walked back from the river. She moved with a calm grace, her eyes low but not closed. Mark followed her a few steps behind. In that moment, he felt that his choice on the field 3 days ago was already changing the lives of everyone around him. Days passed by the river. The human camp grew stronger. New shelters rose from the ground. Food stores filled and small gardens began to bloom. The people were proud of their work, but spoke quietly about their strange guide. Mira had saved them from storms, sinking soil and hidden plants that could burn skin. She did not command or shout. She only whispered a warning, and each warning proved true. Some were thankful, some were uneasy. Mark kept a close watch on her. He had noticed she often slipped away at night to stand near the river or on the cliffs above the camp. He had also noticed small signs during the day. Tools that should have broken stayed strong. Machines that should have failed worked again. She would pass by, lay a hand on something, and it would start running. It seemed as if the camp itself listened to her. One afternoon, a storm gathered quickly over the hills. Dark clouds rolled like waves. The humans hurried to secure their supplies. Mira stood in the center of camp, eyes low, hands slightly raised. She whispered a few words no one understood. The wind changed direction and the storm broke apart before reaching them. The clouds slid away across the plains. Everyone saw it. Everyone stared at her. Hannah came to Mark after the storm passed. They are afraid, she said. They think she controls the world around us. Mark looked at Mira, who now sat near the fire with children gathered around her. She was teaching them how to see which stones held water inside and which were hollow. She is not hurting anyone, he said. She is helping. She hides something, Hannah said. The Queen knew it. You know it, I know it. Ask her. That night, Mark followed Mira when she walked to the cliffs. The moons were bright, the river like a silver thread below. Mira stood still, looking out at the land. Mark approached quietly, but she spoke first. You have questions, she said softly. Yes, he said. You know things before they happen. You fix things without touching them. You move storms. What are you hiding? She lowered her head. I did not come here to show power, she said. I came here to guide. But I cannot guide you if you do not understand. She turned to him and slowly lifted her face. Her eyes glimmered like two small galaxies, light spinning deep inside them. Mark felt a faint pressure in the air around them, as if the world itself bent slightly. It was not bright enough to hurt, but it was strong enough to make his heart pound. My people call it the deep sight, she said. It is an old gift. I see not only what is, but what may be. I see paths that have not yet formed. When I hide my eyes, it is to keep the paths quiet. If I open them fully, the paths may move. Mark tried to understand. You see the future? I see many futures, she said. Not all are true, but enough to guide steps and choices. It is why the Queen sent me. It is why she hid me from others. Some fear this gift. Some would use it for war. I do not want it to harm. Mark thought of the storms, the safe ground, the machines that worked again. You have been using it to protect us, he said. She nodded. A little. Only when needed. Too much and the paths twist. I do not want that. He looked at her eyes again. They were not only beautiful, they were deep like an ocean. Does it hurt you? He asked. Yes, she said softly. Each time I open the sight, it takes a little from me, but I do not regret it. Mark stood beside her in silence for a while. The wind moved across the cliff, carrying the scent of the river. He felt small under the two moons, but also strangely calm. "You could have stayed silent forever," he said. "Why tell me now?" "Because soon others will know," she said. "The world will test us. When it comes, I need you to trust me. If you do not, everything may fall." Back at the camp, Hana had followed at a distance. She could not hear the words, but she saw Mira's eyes glow faintly. She felt a chill run down her spine. She hurried back to the fire, not sure what to tell the others. Mira closed her eyes again and the glow faded. She turned back to Mark. "I am not your enemy," she said. "But I cannot promise safety from all things. I can only guide," Mark nodded slowly. "Then guide us," he said. "And I will stand with you." She looked at him, her eyes soft again. "Thank you," she said. "That is all I needed." They walked back to the camp together. The fire still burned low. People were asleep, wrapped in blankets. Only Hana sat awake, watching them with careful eyes. She saw Mark and Mira return side by side and felt the path between them grow stronger. Inside her small shelter, Mira lay down, but did not sleep. She listened to the river's slow song and the whisper of the future paths around her. She had shown her secret to Mark. She wondered if she had chosen well. Somewhere beyond the hills, a faint pulse of energy moved through the ground, a sign that something new was coming. She closed her eyes tighter and waited. The sky over the camp was bright blue that morning. Children played near the river. Workers built new storage shelters, and the air smelled of cooking grain. For days, the humans had lived safely under Mira's quiet guidance. She had warned of floods, mapped hidden paths in the soil, and kept them from danger. Yet a tension now grew in the camp. People whispered about her eyes. They wondered how much she knew, how much she could do. Mark walked between the shelters, checking the walls. Hana came to him with a frown. "The people talk too much," she said softly. "They want to know if you trust her." "I do," he said. "She has saved us again and again." "Some fear she controls us," Hana said. "They say she makes storms move and machines obey. They fear what she could do if she chose to harm." Mark looked at Mira, who was kneeling with two children, teaching them how to weave grass into strong ropes. Her face was calm, but her hands moved quickly. "She came here to help," he said. "I will not doubt her without reason." Before Hana could answer, the ground trembled under their feet. A low hum rose from the hills beyond the river. Birds took flight in a rush of wings. People stopped what they were doing and looked up. Across the horizon, dark shapes moved, sleek craft skimming low over the plains. They were not from the Queen's city. They bore no mark of Lorea's court. They came fast and low, stirring dust in their wake. Mark called out for everyone to gather. "Inside the shelters," he shouted. "Stay low." Workers ran, pulling children to safety. Hana helped them. Mira rose slowly, eyes narrowing. She whispered something Mark could not hear. The craft drew closer. A ripple of energy pulsed from them, making the air shiver. Small stones lifted from the ground. Equipment flickered, lights going dark. Communication links failed. The camp was cut off. Mark grabbed Mira's arm. "What is this?" he asked. "They are not the Queen's people," she said quietly. "They are a faction that rejects her rule. They do not want humans here. Can we fight them?" Mark asked. "Not with your weapons," she said. "They are stronger." Mark's heart pounded. "Then what can we do?" She looked at him, eyes bright. "I can turn them away," she said. "But to do it, I must open my sight fully. Everyone will see." "They will know what I am." Mark stared at her. The words of the Queen echoed in his mind. "Some gifts are heavier than they seem." "If you do it, will it harm you?" he asked. "Maybe," she said. "It will take much of me. But if I do nothing, they will take your supplies and drive you from the river. Some may be hurt." Mark looked at the camp. He saw the fear in the faces of his people. He saw Hana trying to keep order. He turned back to Mira. "Then do it," he said. "I trust you." She took a deep breath and stepped away from him. The air around her shimmered faintly. She raised her head, no longer hiding her eyes. For the first time, the entire camp saw them. Two shining pools of spinning light, deep and endless. A hush fell over the people. Even the children stopped crying. The approaching craft slowed. Mira lifted her hand slightly. The light in her eyes grew stronger. She whispered words that sounded like a song. The air thickened, bending around her. Invisible waves rolled out across the field. The craft faltered in the sky. Their engines whined. One by one they turned away, banking sharply and flying back toward the hills. No weapons fired. No one was harmed. In moments they were gone, leaving only the whisper of wind. Mira lowered her hands. The glow faded slowly from her eyes. She swayed as if tired. Mark rushed to her side and held her arm. "Stay with me," he said. "I am here," she whispered. "It is done." People emerged from the shelters, staring at her in awe. Some knelt. Some backed away. Hannah walked forward slowly. "She saved us," she said softly. "We all saw it." Mira looked at the ground. "I did what was needed," she said. "I would not have shown this if there were another way." Mark raised his voice to the camp. "You saw her gift," he said. "She used it to protect us. She did not harm. She guided. She warned. She saved. Remember that." The tension in the camp eased a little. People began to murmur, not with fear now, but with respect. Children ran to Mira and held her hands. She smiled faintly at them, though her face was pale. Later, when the sun dipped low, Mira sat near the river with her feet in the cool water. Mark sat beside her. "You saved us," he said quietly. "I showed too much," she said. "Now they will know. Now others may come. We will stand with you," he said. "You are one of us now." She turned to him, her eyes soft again, but still glowing faintly at the edges. "Thank you," she said. "Your trust gave me strength." Hannah joined them, carrying a small cup of water. She handed it to Mira. "Drink," she said. "You need it." Her voice was no longer suspicious but respectful. Mira drank and closed her eyes. "I can guide you still," she said softly. "But soon the Queen will come. She will want to see what has been done." Mark looked at the sky where the 2 moons rose. He knew she was right. The choice he had made in the field had led to this moment. He had trusted the one who hid her eyes, and she had become their shield. But he also knew the future was shifting under their feet, and the test of trust was not over yet. Morning light spread across the river like silver. The camp was quiet but full of low voices. Everyone remembered what had happened the day before. Mira had shown her hidden power and turned away the enemy craft. Some people still stared at her as she walked, but there was more respect than fear now. Children followed her and asked questions about the sky and the glowing patterns she could see. She answered gently, her voice soft but sure. Mark stood near the edge of the settlement and watched the horizon. He had been waiting since dawn. He knew the Queen of Lurea would come soon. He wanted to be ready. Hannah joined him and handed him a small piece of bread. "Eat something," she said. "You will need your strength." Mark nodded and ate slowly, his eyes fixed on the distant hills. By mid-morning, a soft hum filled the air. A bright vessel descended from the clouds, shaped like a great flower. Its petals unfolded as it landed on the flat plain near the river. The Queen of Lurea stepped out, her robes flowing like water. 6 guards followed her but kept their weapons lowered. The Queen walked forward, her face calm but her eyes sharp. Mark moved to meet her. Mira stayed behind for a moment, then walked slowly to his side. She held her head high. Her eyes were still glowing faintly, though she tried to dim them. The Queen stopped a few steps away. "I saw what you did," she said to Mira. "The sky carries your action to me." Her voice was neither angry nor soft. It held the weight of old power. "You opened the deep sight and you pushed back the rebels. That power was hidden for a reason." "I did what was needed," Mira said quietly. "They would have harmed the humans." The Queen looked at Mark. "You chose her," she said. "You could have chosen any of the others. You chose the one who hid her eyes. Why?" Mark stood tall. "Because she did not try to impress us," he said. "Because she listened more than she spoke. Because she saw what we could not see. I trusted that silence." The Queen's expression shifted slightly, almost like a smile. She looked at Mira again. "You are no longer only of my people," she said. "You have crossed into a new bond. Do you wish to remain with them?" Mira hesitated. She looked at the camp, at the children watching from behind the shelters, at Hannah standing near the river. Then she looked at Mark. "Yes," she said. "I will stay. I want to help them grow here." The Queen lifted her hand slowly. "Then you are free," she said. "But you carry a bridge between us. Use your sight to teach them, not to rule them." "Guide, not command." "I will," Mira said. The Queen turned to Mark again. "Your people are brave," she said. "You build homes on strange soil and you accept what you do not understand. This is rare. Because of this, I will strengthen our alliance." Mark bowed his head slightly. "We are grateful," he said. The Queen signaled to her guards. They carried forward small containers filled with seeds, crystals, and glowing stones. "These are gifts," she said. "They will grow food suited to this soil and power your machines without harm to the land. In return, you will teach us more about your craft and the stars." Mark accepted the gifts. "We will share what we know," he said. "We want peace and learning." The queen looked at Mira one last time. "Do not hide your eyes anymore," she said. "They are part of you. But remember balance. Power is not only for protection. It is also for building." Mira nodded. "I understand." The queen stepped back toward her vessel. As she rose into the air, her voice carried across the camp. "A new chapter begins. Protect it." The ship's petals closed, and it lifted into the clouds until it vanished. Silence fell again. Then people began to cheer, a sound of relief and hope. Children ran to Mira and touched her hands. Hana smiled at her and said, "You are truly one of us now." Mark led Mira to the center of the camp. "You heard the queen," he said. "No more hiding. We can build something new here together." Mira breathed in deeply and raised her eyes to the sky. "I want to teach your people what I see," she said. "If they can learn to see energy patterns, they will live safely on this world. They will also understand me better." Hana brought a small group of workers to listen. Mira began to draw in the dirt, showing lines and circles. "These are flows," she said. "They show how wind moves, how soil changes, how storms form. If you understand them, you can plan ahead." She took a crystal from one of the queen's gifts and held it up. It glowed faintly. "This can help you read the flows, too." The workers bent close, fascinated. They started to copy her lines, their fingers tracing the paths in the soil. The camp began to hum with quiet learning. People forgot their fear and began to see her as a teacher. As evening fell, the river glowed with the reflection of two moons. Mark stood beside Mira, watching the campfires. "You have changed everything," he said softly. "No," she said. "You changed everything when you chose me. I only showed what was already here." Mark smiled. "Then we changed it together." Mira looked at the stars. "This world feels different now," she said. "Like a place where two kinds of people can stand as one." Mark followed her gaze. "Then let us build it." No more hiding, no more fear. They stood together in the warm night. Around them, the camp buzzed with work and quiet laughter. In the sky above, unseen paths of light crossed and bent, carrying the promise of the future. Mira's eyes glowed softly, not with secrecy now, but with calm strength. She had once hidden her sight. Now she shared it. The humans had once feared her. Now they trusted her. Between them lay the bridge to a shared tomorrow,